Welcome back. I'm Gary Parr.
And I'm Cindy Baldwin.
And you're listening to the midweek version of Fiber Talk, the twice-weekly podcast for people who stab cloth with needles.
Oh, we're stabbing this week, huh?
Yeah, let's do that. Let's stab some stuff. All right, tonight is a standard stitch and chat. Going to gather and chat and stitch and just do it for an hour or so, no guests or anything. So join us for that. If you missed last week, you definitely want to go back and listen to that one. We had Natalie Dupuis on. Had a great time talking with her. And now next Wednesday will be Kathy Ray from Needle and Haystack doing, it'll be the second part of, it'll be what she didn't cover on metal threads the last time because we ran out of time. So do that. But tonight, Stitch and Chat, and we'll have some giveaways and blah, 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 as it goes. Yep. I like doing those, the Stitch and Chats. It's just, we have fun. And
yeah, I enjoy watching them.
Yeah. Well, and the audience is, we have good interaction with the audience. That's, to me, that's the fun part. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Definitely.
We get a lot of that. So that's tonight. Shirley Pygott from New Zealand will be our guest on Sunday. Shirley is one of those show-offs who does embroidery and stump work and white work and gold work and thread painting and all of it.
Oh, boy.
And creates her own designs, and we had a blast talking with her. I love the the Australian, New Zealand needlework world. There's so much, so much of it, and so many people doing cool things. It's fun to talk to those people.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. We get so wrapped up in what we do here in the U.S. that we forget, there's a world out there of people who also do it. And,
And they're doing different things.
Yep. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. It's so much fun. Yeah. So Shirley will be our guest Sunday. That'll be fun. And if you missed last Sunday, make sure you catch it. Ruth Miller.
That was fantastic.
I still can't get over, I forget what video it was I was watching when I was doing research, when I really realized that she's doing life-size portrait embroidery. I just literally stopped and said, wait a minute, that thing she's working on, the head of that person is literally as big as her head. Holy smokes.
I haven't watched any of the videos yet, and maybe because you saw the video you didn't ask her about this, but I was wondering about her process. Does she draw on the ground cloth?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. In the Instagram post, one of the photos she provided was partially stitched, and you can see the illustration.
Okay.
Yeah. No, she's a drawer. That's her origin, is drawing.
Right.
And she draws it all out on the ground cloth and then stitches over that. Yes.
And does she work in a hoop, or does she put it on stretcher bars?
She got a big frame thing that she does, yeah.
And puts that on chairs and sits on the floor.
Yeah. I think that's, exactly, yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah.
Uh-huh. I was shaking my head over that, too. I could tell Beth was.
I know, sitting on the floor. Oh, you got to be crazy, lady.
Yeah. I can't get up off the floor when I get down.
Right, yeah.
So I try not to get, I don't get down on purpose. It's only when I get down there accidentally.
Yeah. Oh, she is incredible, just incredible. It's so much fun to talk to, and the yarn, the wool yarn, because I couldn't tell what she was using when I did the research. So that was a question didn't know the answer to when we talked to her, and to use wool yarn and to get that impact is amazing. Yeah.
Well, I didn't know Pattern Ann was still available.
That too. Thank you very much. I'm not the only one. Okay. Yes.
I thought that was part of the problem, that people weren't using it anymore because it just wasn't made. But it sounds like she has a gigantic stash, and you do find it in needlework stores from time to time. That have some that they've just never moved.
Yeah.
But I wondered, so Pattern Ann is 3 strands.
Right.
3 plies in each strand. And what I've read, I don't think I've ever used it. Or maybe I did a long time ago. But what I've read is that the strands are different thicknesses.
Oh, I
So
don't know that.
there's one or two that are thinner than the other. And I can't remember if there's two that are the same and one that's different, or I don't remember what it is. But
Oh.
I remember reading that, that's one of the, I don't know if you want to call it a feature or a bug
Yeah, yeah.
of the thread, that each of the strands is not exactly the same weight. But, she may use that to her advantage.
Yeah.
In certain areas.
Yeah, you could see where that. Yeah, you would definitely end up using that to advantage. I would think if there's. Yeah, I would separate those into piles, and yeah, you could do a lot of detail work with that.
Yeah, because sometimes you want a little heavier coverage, and sometimes like probably on faces where she wants that to be smoother.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe so I haven't had a chance to look at the videos or her Instagram.
Yeah.
So I will go and do that.
Oh, it's worth it. And I was thinking back because I looked up Patternaean just to make sure I had the spelling right.
Uh-huh.
And it came up and it looked like it was available, but I didn't actually click on the links. I was just looking for the spelling. And I didn't click on the links to see if you could actually buy it, but there were several sites that came up that clearly offered it. If it was old stock, I don't know, but yeah, I thought it wasn't available. And I was going to ask you. I recall because when I started needlepointing, it was back in the wool days. Basket weave
Right.
and wool, and I want to say that was pretty much the standard thread, if you will, on like 13 count canvas. Do I recall correctly?
Yeah, and I'm thinking it's probably the standard for crewel too. And I did a fair amount of crewel, but I did it so long ago that I really don't remember.
Yeah, because I remember buying the wool, but I just don't. I thought Patternaean just always rings a bell, but I can't recall if that's actually what I bought.
Well, I think it was the standard, and what was available.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't know, maybe people just kind of quit using it, and so stores stopped carrying it.
Yeah.
Maybe it is still available, but because people are using other kinds of threads, most stores just don't stock it.
Yeah, just falling away. Yeah. Well, now I'm curious.
Because,
I got to look up and see if it actually still is for sale. Yeah.
Yeah, but when you look at everything that's available, my gosh, there isn't a store that could carry it all.
No, no, not at all. No.
I was in our Michael's store the other day, and I think I don't know if you guys, you've mentioned it on the podcast with Jennifer or Beth, but Michael's is carrying Anchor floss now.
Oh.
And it's on spools instead of skeins. And they're also, I noticed in our store, they also have Anchor wool. And it's not strandable. It didn't look like, I didn't look at it all that closely, but it looks like what DMC is selling for crewel wool these days.
Uh-huh.
It's kind of fat. Probably works great on 13 count canvas.
Yeah. And wool on anything finer has got to be a challenge. Yeah.
Right. But there must be a demand for it, or these stores wouldn't be carrying it. Now, our Joann's, I can't remember if they're carrying. I think they're carrying the Anchor thread also, but I haven't been in our Joann's for a month or so.
Yeah, you just triggered something in my mind I'd forgotten about. I got an email, a couple of weeks ago from the marketing person at Anchor wanting to send me some samples.
Oh.
And so now that's interesting. Some samples to try. And I said, sure, I'll take a look, because I have a bunch of Anchor floss I inherited from someone. It's decades old. So that just triggered. I'd completely forgotten about it, because it was going to be, we'll send it out in a month or so, and so I'll just put it out of my mind, because
right.
a lot of that stuff just never shows up, so I don't worry about it.
Right.
So now I'll be curious. So so it was wool and then anchor on spools instead of in skeins.
Right.
Hmm.
And I've got some of it, but I don't have it handy, so I can't tell you what. It looks like a regular thread spool, a small thread spool. So I can't tell you how much length there is on it. I'm going to guess it's, 10 meters or something like that. But
Yeah.
I could, don't quote me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bought some. I
In
anchor
a
thread was
recorded
perfectly
show,
fine.
don't quote her. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, see, I have a really good example to go by.
Yep. So, okay, well, that's interesting. 'Cause-
Preparation,
Right. That's right. Yeah. It's all about that.
Yeah.
That's
So
what
I always found anchor to be fine. I've never had any trouble with it. In fact, I've frequently used it when I needed to fill in a DMC color range.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know why it kind of fell out of favor, because there's not, I've never heard anybody who's used it actually complain about it. But there's always kind of that stigma attached to it, like, oh, that's like second grade or something. But it's not. I mean, it's good. It's good thread.
No, I kind of suppose that it's this whole shops can't stock everything,
Mm-hmm.
so they're going to stock the stuff that moves the quickest. And DMC is going to be first on every chart,
Yeah.
cross-stitch chart. I haven't looked at any for a while. They used to have anchor conversions, but I don't think any of the ones that I'm using right now have anchor conversions.
No, I
So-
have some old charts that have anchor conversions on it. Yeah.
So if you don't have that, people aren't going to know that anchor is available, so they're not going to buy it. And so the shops are, they always need real estate.
Yep.
So I'm guessing that's why and same thing with number 5 pearl.
Mm.
Nobody's doing number 5 pearl anymore. Or no, not number 5, number 3.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't
think,
know where to find that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think everybody's dropped that.
Yeah. Basically, it's a rope. But-
Well, yeah, but a lot of people are stitching on 13 count canvas.
right. Right.
And need that rope.
Yeah, exactly. Well, now I'm really curious. I do hope that thread shows up, because now I'm curious to what to do. I mean, there's some expense there to send samples to people to try, and so they must be making some concerted effort to elevate their presence in the market. Yeah, so I'm curious now. Okay.
Yeah, and I think that they'd be posting conversion charts everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen one. I have seen people talking on Facebook about anchor being in the stores. And I know there's conversion charts out there.
Yeah.
They're fairly easy to find, but you got a choice between DMC and anchor, and you've got the DMC colors right there in your chart. Why would you bother looking for anchor?
Right. Right. Now I'm really curious. I think I'll write to that lady and confirm that it's coming, and then I think I'll also ask her if she has a color chart.
Mm-hmm.
That would be interesting. Okay, now my curiosity is piqued, as they say. Yeah. Okay. Because that's I mean, there's nothing wrong with having another thread available, and like you said,
no.
yeah, I'm sure there's especially for designers, 1,000 instances where filling in a DMC color range with a couple of others from Anchor would be very helpful. Yeah.
Right. I did that on the Debbie's mostly Amadeus. She had three colors of DMC orange, or 4 colors, I forget how many, but 2 of them I couldn't tell the difference between. I couldn't, didn't matter whether it was in bright sun or under my daylight lamp, or I couldn't see a difference in them in the dye lots that I had.
Yeah.
So I dug through my stash and I found an Anchor that was just a shade darker than the lightest one. I think it was 2 lighter ones. And that's what I used.
Okay. Let's see, that works. That helps you. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So you could do that, if you were using a series of colors and whatever, because the dye lots change,
Right.
and if you've got, 5 or 6 that, there's a couple you can't really tell much difference between, take them over to the store and look at what Anchor has in that color range and, see if you can kind of, get something that is different enough. And when I'm doing that, I'm usually probably doing Bargello or some kind of shading on needlepoint, that you need different colors.
Yeah. Yeah.
That are different enough so otherwise why bother?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. This is interesting little turn here because see, I have it's a Plano. They haven't made them for years, and I really wish they would. Tackle box that I keep my DMC thread in.
Yeah.
I use those plastic bobbins.
Uh-huh.
And they fit in there perfectly, and it's just wonderful. And I bought that, and then I needed another one, and you couldn't get them anymore. And so then a lady I know, her mother-in-law, somebody, was getting rid of all their stuff, and she had 2 or 3 double-sided of these tackle boxes. And so I got one from her. I think I paid her for it. She either gave it to me or I gave her a token amount of money, whatever.
Yeah.
But so I got this double-sided one, and it was all full of Anchor threads, all on the kinds of bobbins that I use. Uh-huh. Both sides. And
wow.
Yeah, so I have a real good collection, and I was going to throw it all away one day. No, you idiot!
Oh, no.
Why would you do that? So I kept it. There's a couple.
If you find yourself at an Anchor to DMC conversion, and
right.
you need a DMC and you don't have it in your stash, look at your Anchor stash.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So now I got to get charts and everything. Yeah, I got to get serious about this because it just sits there in the closet. All that thread, and there's a ton of it. There's a couple of bobbins of a color that it just makes me ill to look at, and
throw those away.
No, actually, what I do is I use those for basting.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, because I don't care. I'll never use that color
right.
for anything. So I use it to baste and to find the centers and all kinds of things of canvases. Yeah, very handy. Yep.
Yeah.
Then if I throw away a 2-foot long length, I don't care. It's just
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No, I keep there's a bobbin I'm looking at right here on the table. That's my basting bobbin. Yep. Just use it till it's gone. You bet.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And that's old thread, and I can tell just using it. There's nothing wrong with it. It's not like it's deteriorated or anything.
Right.
Yeah. So. Yep. Okay. Now I'm curious to see. I hope I'll just write to the lady and say, hey, I hope you're going to send that stuff, and if you have a color chart
card,
I'd sure like to have that too. Yeah.
Yeah. So I know that Anchor used to have a real thread chart like DMC because the store that we had here in Eastern Iowa they carried Anchor as well as DMC, and so they had both real thread charts.
Yeah.
So I assume that Anchor would have continued with that, but DMC quit it for a while.
Yeah. No, I know, and the printed ones aren't nearly as good. When they came back with the new thread one, I latched onto one. Of course, every time they show up, they're sold out within hours. But
oh yeah,
but
right.
I got one. Yeah, to me that's for most threads, I wish I had a real thread chart for most of them. Just be handy to have.
Yeah, and you can get them, but they're expensive.
Yeah. No thanks.
Yeah, the DMC charts are, those are, I don't know, $20 or something like that.
Right.
The Rainbow Gallery ones, there you're talking some real money.
Oh,
you
really?
Can get them.
Because that's one I'd like to have, so that gets pricey, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, bummer.
Yeah, and they're kind of hard to get.
Oh.
One of my friends had Stitcher's Garden in Naperville order her the Silk Lame color card.
Uh-huh.
and I don't know how much it was. It was fairly expensive, but the shop owner ordered it because you can't really find them on any of the store sites.
Yeah.
Some of the store sites, like I think Kathy Ray has some color cards in her catalog, but they're kind of limited.
Yeah. I'll have to look for that. But yeah, that's the trouble. $20 or $30 for me, something I only use occasionally. I'll spend that. But you start pushing, $75-$100 or whatever it might be, and I'm not saying that's what they are, but
I don't.
Yeah, I start to flinch quite a bit because I'm not a designer, so I'm not hauling that thing out all the time. And
right. I do use my DMC color card a lot. Just, because I'm changing colors on patterns all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And, I want to find colors that, a range of colors or something that matches, that goes with a color in an overdyed thread, watercolors or something like that.
Yeah.
So I do use mine a lot.
Yeah, see, I don't use mine very much, but every time I do use it, it's like, oh, I'm glad this thing is here.
Yeah,
it's just handy.
It's a great tool.
Yep. Yeah, I actually have two of them. I have an old one, and then I got the new one. I inherited the old one, and then when the new one came out, I got it. Ooh, all right, now I'm pumped up about Anchor. I got to check it out. Because I need more thread.
I know you do.
Yeah.
We all do.
Right. I'm going to start renting space in Beth's basement, I think, is what the next step is. I wonder if she'll do that. So much a square
I don't know.
foot.
It might be kind of pricey.
Yeah, it probably would be, yeah.
She'd probably have to move stuff around to get your stuff in.
Just it. She's like a store. She's like a store. I can't sacrifice this space. I'm Beth.
Yeah, I can't really say anything because I have a pretty healthy stash too.
Well, actually, I'm here in my nice little studio. I'm going to the closet I have where I just have a bookshelf and my two toolbox cases full of thread. But there's a shelf in there for hanging stuff on, coat rack or clothes shelf.
Oh, yeah.
That's coming out because I need more shelving, so that is about to get filled with shelving. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's already, yeah. So I'm going to cut some wood and build some shelves and put them up. And
yep.
Take advantage of that height of that closet. Yep, coming up.
Yeah, well, you don't really need to hang anything. And
no.
I do like to hang my bigger painted canvases on like pants hangers, with the clips on them.
Yeah.
That's a good way to store those.
Yeah.
But you don't need a whole, rod, shelf, whole closet rod for that.
Right. Do you cover those, or do you just hang them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Some of them are covered, some of them aren't.
Okay.
Because I haven't gotten around to putting anything over them.
Yeah, because I just wonder, because in a closet which is effectively dark, it really shouldn't matter.
Right.
Yeah. Out in the open, yeah, but.
Right. And in a closet that's closed most of the time, you don't have so much dust.
Right.
Getting in there, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd worry more about fading than I would, because hanging vertically, dust is not going to accumulate as easily. But,
right.
Yeah, I'd worry about fading from light. So yeah.
Yeah, no, in a closet they're fine.
Yeah. Yeah, that's I've seen a couple of pictures of people who are collectors of painted canvases and show their closets full of. Oh man. Oh. All I see is the dollars that go into those. Holy smokes.
Oh, I know. Yeah. I know. They're so beautiful, but they're so expensive.
Yes.
And then you have to buy the threads.
I know. Yeah, that's just it. You double up the cost just to get the threads, and then when you finish it, then you add another couple hundred to have it framed or whatever you're going to do
Easily.
with it.
Yeah, easily.
Yep.
Yep.
Part of the fun. Part of the fun.
Yep.
Two things. Debbie Rowley's Angles class, act quickly if you want in on it, because that's about to close out because she's got to get materials together and shipped out to people, and the class starts in early March. So debbiesdesigns.com, the Angles class, you want to act quickly on that. Not if you want the kit for sure, but if you want, she also has the chart canvas at one level and just the chart. But this is not something if I read between the lines here, the tea leaves or whatever you're reading, I don't think this is going to show up in your local needlework store maybe ever. So
she does not tend to do that.
No.
The teaching pieces that she's retired, I don't remember seeing them in chart form.
No.
So she just, some teachers do that. They teach them for a while and then they release them in charts, but I don't think Debbie does.
Not as a rule, no. And I don't recall the last time she released a retail chart. Has it been a while, I think. So
yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
And as busy as she is with teaching, it's no wonder because she's got to come up with new designs for that. But I will second Angles. I started it, and it is really a really, really neat project.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of fun stitches in it, and it's so versatile because, it's mostly grays,
right.
And then you've got these pops of color, and you can make those any color. I've seen people do it with oranges and blues and red, and I'm doing kind of a red-violet.
Mm-hmm.
Fuchsia, I guess, probably is what it is. And, it's just endless what you could do with it.
Yeah. What is that, like a 10 by 10?
That's probably about the size of the stitching area.
Yeah. So
I think my canvas is probably might be 15 inches square.
Mm-hmm.
I can see it, but I can't reach it.
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah, so the designs, because she tends to do the 6 and the 10 and then massive. So
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's so get on that quickly. That's a good one to get in on. And of course the class, then you get all the videos and Debbie's help, which is huge. But it's now, would you agree with me that it's a design that if you've never done counted canvas, you can definitely do?
Yes, because her instructions are fabulous.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even without the videos, which you'd have access to if you sign up for the class and just get the book, those videos are going to be accessible for as long as Debbie's around.
Yeah.
I took my class through the Shining Needle Society probably 2 or 3 years ago. I can still go back and access those videos.
Okay. Yeah.
If I need to. But and you guys didn't say this you didn't say this last time, she wouldn't have said it, but her instructions are so good.
Yep.
That, I think, now I wouldn't say that's true of her older books. And some of the older ones, that when she first started designing, you probably do need to have a little more experience. But she's really gotten to the point that, she almost tells you where to do your away waist or your
Right.
pin stitch or whatever,
Yep.
In fact, she did that on mostly on the Deus one. She told you where to put the pin stitches in each one to, where they'd be covered up. I don't know if she did that in Angles because I haven't messed with it for a while.
Yeah.
But, her diagrams are really clear and they're big.
Mm-hmm.
They're easy to read. And then she does these videos that show you exactly how to do the stitch.
Yeah.
They're great.
Oh, well, and the diagrams, they literally show you too. It's, go under here, go over here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I have some of her older charts, and I agree with you. Yeah, they a little cryptic, But anymore, I challenge anyone to find instructions that are better than what she does.
I would agree.
Yeah, they're just if you can't follow them, find another hobby because they're that good.
Yeah.
It's
And she's said multiple times that she's had people in her classes that were rank beginners and still had no trouble doing the project.
Yeah.
With her there and with the instructions, the diagrams and everything. So yeah, I it might be kind of intimidating because there is a lot of stuff in it.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of different stitches, but there's no one area that's really, really huge.
Yeah.
You just do it one section at a time, one stitch at a time, and pretty soon, you've got quite a bit done.
Yep.
I have the center done, and I'm starting on one of the corners.
Okay.
So the center is a kind of a bar that creates the angle across the canvas. And I don't think it's a true diagonal. It might be, but it's not from corner to corner. I think it's shifted a little bit.
Okay.
And it's probably 1.5 inches, 2 inches wide, and the number of different stitches that she gets into that area of canvas is pretty amazing.
Yeah, there's no open space in that thing. No.
But that part went really, really quickly for me because that's where you start. You start with that first angle across that diagonal across the canvas.
Yeah.
And then you do the other corners. And so that part went really pretty fast for me.
Mm-hmm.
But the corners are the bigger areas to stitch, and I got slowed down, and then another shiny object came along, and I haven't touched it since.
Yep. Squirrel.
Yep.
Yep. Well, get in on that quickly. And that's why we're having this discussion. If you've never done counted canvas, Debbie Rowley's charts are the place to try it. And I would venture that if you want to try something different, counted canvas with Debbie Rowley's designs is a good place to venture out, and you'll have fun.
Absolutely.
She really does a nice job. Then the other one that you want to act on quickly is the Beribboned project class that Natalie Dupuis is offering. Mm-hmm. And if you go to last Wednesday's Stitch Hour on the 2nd, when Natalie was our guest, we talk about that, and you look at the photo for Beribboned, and you see gold work, and for a lot of people, it's I don't want to do gold work, but you can do this same class, and you don't have to do gold work. You can do other types of things because a big part of what she's teaching is color, and so that's a class to check out too.
Yeah, and if you watch the video that she made about the class, you can see what her pilot stitchers did. And, some of them I wasn't sure were needlework. Because you're right, the focus really is color. It's, just everybody just chose their own vehicle.
Right.
For the color. And I think she had photos of 5 or 6 different projects that the students in our pilot class did.
Mm-hmm.
And all wildly different.
Yeah. So check that out.
Look at that. Yeah.
Beribboned. I'll put links in the show notes. Beribboned with Natalie Dupuis, tremendous teacher. Well, both of them are tremendous teachers. That's a given. So you will learn a lot, and you'll learn a lot more than just stitching a project. I mean, you'll walk away with knowledge that you can use elsewhere. Check those out. Okay, that's 2 of the 3 enabling things we have for this show. In which, maybe 4.
No.
Maybe 4. Because perforated paper would be the 4th one. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we're just here to help people spend their money is what we're here for. So I have to tell a story. I've talked about backing up your computers before, so this is not stitching, but this is covering your butt.
It's important.
A friend of mine from Illinois, I talked to him on Sunday, and he fell for the email that you get that your computer is contaminated, and it appears to be from Windows, and in your Windows system, and you need to contact us immediately to get it cleaned out, and blah 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 blah. And he checked it. First thing I do is I start checking the English, because you can usually find a sentence in there where the English is rocky, and that's I'm out. But he said it seemed clean, and so then he called.
Oh.
And okay, you call, and then he made the fatal mistake: is he let the person into his computer.
Oh no.
Share your screen, let me into your machine so I can fix your problem. And then, so the guy just took him through a whole bunch of just, empty exercises. And then wanted to sell him a like $1,500 or $1,800 program that would protect him forever. And that's when he finally realized that he ought to stop and think. And then, so then he said, let me think about it. The guy called him back a couple days later to see if he wanted the program to protect himself.
Oh, boy.
And my friend said, no, I'm not going to do that. Well, none of it mattered, because once he let him in the machine, the guy planted whatever he wanted to plant, and the rest of it was all over. So,
oh, no.
Yeah, so he completely fished for the whole thing. Now he's in a box, because his machine now truly is contaminated. And he then has to take it to Best Buy, to the Geek Squad, and to see, and he still, this had been a week when I talked to him on Sunday, and he still hadn't heard back from them. Well, I can tell you what they're going to have to do. They're going to have to scrub the hard drive to make sure it's clean. Mm-hmm. And so I said to him, I assume you have backup. No. He did not have an external drive backup sitting there on his desk, and certainly didn't have any kind of external cloud thing. And it was like, I don't know what to tell you. I just don't know. But it brought back to me, because I have external drives on all of our machines, because everything is backed up automatically, because we use the Apple backup, and so everything is backed up to those drives. So you can go back and get as much capacity as there is. If you lose a file or something, you can go back and get it. So I keep those, but I've always put off. But that's not true backup, because a backup drive that's in the same room as your machine, if the house burns down, you
lost it anyway.
It doesn't matter.
But then, if they're tied to your machine, wouldn't they be infected by the virus too?
Well, and that's a good question.
If it's an automatic backup?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I don't. That's a question I can't answer, because I don't know how those things work. If they infect previous versions, or just what they do, or if they just infect the operating system. And I'm sure it's going to be. It depends.
Right.
So I don't know, but that's handy. Like if something goes haywire and you just need a file, having that is handy. But it's not a backup. You need to, and we do them. And what we'll do, if we're going to be gone for a while, we'll leave the backups here, or if we don't want to take our computers, like we'll leave the computers here, and now that we live in Missouri, we would take the backup drives to our daughter's house, and just leave them there. That way, if the house burns down, water pipe bursts, whatever, then we know at our daughter's house is all the data. So we take those steps all the time. And actually, when the last time we went to Arizona, we took our machines, but then we didn't even leave the backup drives in the house. We got them out of the house, so if someone breaks in, they can't even get those.
Right.
So you take those steps, but you certainly should be backing up at minimum that. But still, it's you're not truly backed up. And so, in talking to him, it reminded me that I have preached this on numerous times, but I have never set up external backup for us. And Marg and I have on one machine, I have all the Fiber Talk shows, the whole shooting match, and I keep those. And then, of course, between the two of us, the magazine that we edit, the trade magazine, we're the only editorial staff. So sitting on our machines and our backup drives is the entire magazine, and and future issues and everything, articles that have come in or are lined up or whatever. So all of that sits here, and it was not externally backed up. Though I talked about it numerous times, I had never actually pulled the trigger. And the reason I didn't pull the trigger, and this is excuse number one, I'm only going to offer one, is how every time you need to do something major on a computer, it's like a day or a half a day, and you have to call two friends to get help, and it's just hassle. And and I just put it off. I just kept putting it off. And so after talking to my friend, this was Sunday, I said, you're an idiot. Get on this. So I just dropped everything else I was doing, and set up external backup. And the one that I used is, and I knew what I was going to use, is Backblaze, BACKBLAZE, backblaze.com. And the reason I use that is because that is what Mary Corbett uses.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember you talking about it with her.
Right. She did an article or two on that. Her machine crashed.
Yeah.
And I think it's her brother who does all her tech support for her, had insisted that she back it up externally, and it paid off for her. Because can you imagine Mary Corbett losing her data? Holy smokes.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd cry for a month.
Oh, I would too.
So, and she uses Backblaze. And one of the things, I'm sure they all do it by now, but one of the things that Backblaze does is you can have them send you a hard drive. And with everything on it, and then you plug that into your new machine and copy it all over, and you're back in business.
Wow.
And she had to do that, and it worked for her. So Sunday, I just dropped everything, and I went to Backblaze, and I set up an account for our three machines. And I thought, I need to do this. I'm just going to say, all right, the rest of Sunday is shot. I'm going to spend the rest of Sunday setting up backup and monkeying around with settings, and just all this stuff. But I said, you got to suck it up and do it, because I'm sitting here on a ticking time bomb.
Right.
I had, and I'm not exaggerating, from the time I hit enter after putting in the credit card thing, I was backing up my machine, my first machine. I was backing that up 5 minutes later.
Wow.
I am not exaggerating. 5 minutes later, it was backing up files. And 5 minutes after that, the machine I used to record and do all the Fiber Talk stuff on, it was backing up.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fast.
It was that easy. You download this program. Once you sign up, you download this program. And, I mean, it took, 5 seconds to download. It took another 5 seconds to enter it. And, you start backing up. And there's a couple, you got to watch the first 3 or 4 windows to make sure you tell it what to do right. And make sure you give it access to the hard drives. And now because we're dealing with, gigabytes of data, and it tells you it's going to take 2 or 3 days for them to get everything backed up. And it's taking that. But because it works while you're working, and you can just keep working on your machine. You don't have to do anything special. You don't have to let it sit there for days by itself. And it just keeps backing up. And now, like when we're recording this, I paused the backups on both machines so they wouldn't be chewing up bandwidth while we were recording.
Oh, okay.
And then I'll just reactivate it and let it go. But it was that simple. It was literally that simple. And I went and checked. You log into the website to see your files. I went and checked, and sure enough, it's all the files are there that it's backed up. It's doing its thing, and cheap. It's $7 a month for unlimited backup, unlimited data. $7 a month, or
Wow.
$70 a year. So you get 2 months for free if you do it by the year.
And that covers all three of your machines?
No, that's for one license. So I spent $210.
Okay.
And then it will back up all your external drives, your USB drives or whatever that are attached. You just tell it back those up too. And yeah, but so, for most people, one machine, $70 a year. And I look at now my friend, not only did he have to take it over to a Best Buy, but his wife now doesn't trust the machine because, minimal knowledge. So she doesn't trust the machine. So she insisted they buy a new machine.
No.
So, there's, a couple grand, whatever it is. But then even worse, he had to close his checking account, get a new checking account, had to shut down all of his credit cards. He had to go through that whole thing because I'm sure they've been doing, banking and whatever as you tend to do.
Right.
All of his stuff, all their passwords. They've had to change all their passwords, which you should be doing every 6 or 8 months anyway. But,
right.
Yeah.
But who does?
Exactly. You know that. Yeah. So they've had to go through the whole thing, not to mention put, a credit check thing on all their accounts to make sure somebody isn't abusing it. I mean, he's had to go through the whole thing. And $70 a year, well, number one, you don't, you get that kind of an email, you just delete it. But, he fished for it.
Right. Or I'd go to the Geek Squad right then.
Yeah.
And say, hey, I got this thing. Is there something wrong with my machine?
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah, he got caught in a soft moment. And he admits it. He says, it's all my fault. He says, I completely fell for everything. But, so he's just going through all that misery, and that doesn't end for weeks.
No.
And then no backup. So he's lost everything. Literally lost everything. Family photos, all, you can just imagine. What we all store on these machines. And, so he's lost it all.
Yeah.
Yep. And, so $70 a year for that. Yeah, and that was all I needed to hear. But it is that. Oh, no, I'm going to have to spend an entire day monkeying around with this stuff. Didn't happen. 15 minutes later, I'm back to doing what I was going to do Sunday. Which was watching TV and stitching, and the machines were just churning away.
That's worth it.
Yep. So that's my sermon on backups. You should have a backup drive connected to your machine that you can disconnect and take with you, and you don't have a true backup unless you have it external, and that means a cloud system, and it's not expensive and it's automatic. And this thing is continuous. Once it gets the first initial backup in place, then it just backs up continuously, and it will hold your files for 30 days, and then it starts lopping off the older ones. Or I think it's $2 a month per machine, and it will hold up to a year. And then I think it's $2 more, and then some charges for gigabyte, and it'll hold it forever, which, quite frankly, is ridiculous for most of us. But to hold it for a year, I'll take that. I'll do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I have my stuff in the cloud, but I don't. It'll back up. It checks for changes to files, but I haven't quite figured out how to get it to back up new files. I don't know if I haven't set it up right or something, but so I've just gotten to the point to where I just kind of save new stuff to the cloud and to my hard drive.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I have a separate hard drive that I back up to once in a while, but I haven't done it for a while. and that it doesn't take any time at all to plug it in and tell it to copy everything. It's just you don't get around to doing it.
Yep.
And plus that it's here in the house.
Yeah.
Again, if something happened to the house, then I have what's in the cloud.
Right. Yeah, you have something. It's off-site. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I've had, these backup drives, I've had instances where I've needed to go into them and dig out a file. And so they're worth having. And like I just bought a 2 terabyte USB drive for like 100 a quarter or something. 2 terabytes. I mean,
Oh,
it's dirt cheap.
yeah.
I've got a little 1 terabyte drive. That's you remember the old iPods, the little things. It's about that size. It's 1 terabyte. It's solid state, so there's no disks, there's no spinning, moving parts whatsoever. It's solid state. I think I paid a little over $100 for that. That's a terabyte that you can just drop in your pocket.
Wow.
And of course that's terabyte, so you can buy 500 gigs or 250 gigs or whatever for a whole lot less. And it's dirt cheap. So it comes down to just how lazy are you in terms of backing up your stuff.
Yeah, I've got a flash drive here that's 128 gigs.
Yeah, right, exactly.
And it was probably $40.
Yeah.
I've had it for a while, so they're probably a lot less now.
Now they'll give it to you just for showing up.
Yeah, practically.
Yeah. So there's my lesson. And then of course he had no antivirus of any kind on it.
Oh no.
And that's he was running a Windows machine, and I'm here to tell you right now, if you don't have antivirus that's up to date all the time on a Windows machine, you are just checking gas tanks with matches.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean I run full Norton antivirus and web protection on all our machines, and they're all Macs, which are much less vulnerable, but I don't care.
Right.
Yeah. So
yeah.
It's worth it's you think, oh, that's money, do I really need to spend that money? Well, just think of my friend, because
well, yeah, I mean, if you anything that's on your computer that means anything to you, yeah, it's worth it.
Right. So there you go. There's the story of the day. That's my sermon. Cover your butts, because those machines once you connect to the internet. It's up to you to keep yourself protected.
Right.
And go through Facebook and make sure you have that shut off so that only people that you invite can get into your account. Same thing with Instagram. Take the time to do those things, because there's people out there with nothing better to do but cause you trouble, and they will.
Yep.
So, okay, that's it. All right. So that's an enabling thing. Backblaze.com. That's my verbal testimony. Look in Mary Corbett's Needle and Thread site, and I'm sure you can find the article where she talks about it. But trust me, you don't need to do the research. Go sign up. It's worth it.
Go do it.
All right. Now, you sent me as a Christmas gift 3 beautiful little ornaments. Absolutely beautiful. I really appreciate it. And Marga was all excited about them. They aren't in the box of Christmas ornaments. They are sitting in the china cabinet on display. Okay, they got elevated from Christmas to year-round ornaments.
Oh, my goodness, I'm honored.
Oh, they're beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
Thank you.
And so thank you very much. Really, really enjoy them. And we both were just awestruck because they're gorgeously done. But you did them on perforated paper.
Uh-huh.
And it's something I've not stitched on, and I'm just curious about. So are there things you can tell us about stitching on perforated paper that would help? Or is it just like stitching on canvas?
No, it's not like stitching on canvas. I mean, it is, but canvas doesn't break. You can break canvas. I've broken canvas when I'm doing pulled thread. But perforated paper, it's pretty sturdy, but it can break. And so in the ornaments that I probably did close to 20 ornaments on perforated paper.
Uh-huh.
And the ones that I sent you and Beth and Jennifer are I think 1 inch on a side. They're little.
Yeah.
Which is why I blinged them up with the beads. And I sent you some picture collages that you can run with the YouTube video.
Okay.
I did a couple that are about 2 inches, and then some that are 3 inches on a side. So the 3-inch ones are pretty good sized. Basically, you could do almost any needlepoint design. But remember, they do make 18 count perforated paper,
Yeah.
but 14 count is what most people are going to find. Joann's and Hobby Lobby carry it. I haven't seen it at Michael's lately, and then any local needlework store is going to carry it too. One of the larger ones that I did had a whole bunch of threads going into a single hole. And I was following a chart, and the designer of the chart said, be careful about this because you've got all these threads going in the single hole. So, the threads that were used in these are all flat ribbons. You can use other threads on perforated paper, but the flat ribbon these are stitched together into 3-sided ornaments. And you kind of need the flat ribbon to sew the sides together, because it's not bulky, especially when you get to the corners.
Yeah.
So you could take almost any small needlepoint pattern and turn it into one of these, or make up your own. And that's where I'm at now. I'm kind of making up my own designs for little ones because I have a few more to do. They're fun to do. They're kind of addictive. And for each 3-sided ornament, you stitch a square, and then you move over 2 quote unquote threads, or 2 holes. You leave 1 hole in between.
Okay.
Stitch the next square, and then the 3rd square, same thing. And then you cut it out so that you're just leaving 1 thread along the edges, and then start stitching it together. So the first thing you do is fold them. I like to crease them before I start stitching, and you stitch down 1 fold, just a whip stitch on the outside edge, and then when you get down to the corner, you turn it, you twist it, so that the next edge meets an edge, and you stitch down that, and you have to manipulate a little bit. And where I did have some trouble with the paper breaking when I was stitching some of the edges together. And in the designs that I had, the designer said, if that happens, just stitch into one of the threads that's already there.
Oh, okay.
So you can you kind of hide it. And I tried putting a little tape on, or in one case I kind of did a big stitch over 2. And you can't really see it from a distance.
Yeah.
I know it's there, of course, but hang it on a Christmas tree, or from a lamp or something like that, and you can't see it.
Right.
And so it's a little fiddly, but so one of our local Needlepoint Guild members is kind of the one that started us on that, and she had some old designs from Jean Taggart. 1991, I think, is the copyright on them. That we had bought.
There's a name. Wow.
We bought those when we were in Denver a number of years ago, probably 15, 20 years ago. And she bought some, and I bought some, and she dug hers out over the last year or so and stitched a bunch of them. And then decided that maybe it would be a good project for our chapter to do. So she designed a smaller one, and we did that for a chapter project. So then I decided about, I don't know, the second week of December that it would be a good idea to stitch those for, my hairstylist and my nail tech and my massage therapist and my trainer. And
yeah, sure.
So that's why you didn't get yours until after Christmas, because I was working on the last one up to, I think, the Wednesday before Christmas of the ones I needed to get done for gifts for my peeps. Yeah, so it's they are kind of addictive. They're fun to do, and like I said, I've kind of branched out, and I'm kind of making up my own designs now.
Yeah. Okay. Now
the little ones are fairly quick.
I gotta get some questions in here because we're running out of time. I hate this.
Okay.
Okay, we're dealing with paper, and you're handling paper with your hands. And so my first thought is the more you handle, the more pliable it becomes. starts to absorb body oils.
Not really.
How are you dealing with the paper? That's not an issue?
No, not really, because you're not. I'm kind of handling it at the edges a little
Okay.
bit.
Mm-hmm.
Although, you're going to pull it through, so you're going to pull the needle through, and if you're in a crowded hole, then I did hold it right at the hole, to kind of relieve some of the pressure.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's really, covered on both sides with a ribbon thread. And, we use neon rays and not frosty rays, fireworks and YLI ribbon floss. I've used all different kinds of things.
Yeah.
But they're all flat ribbon threads.
Okay.
So they kind of cover both sides. What you do have to watch is catching the thread on the edges of the cut piece of paper. And my friend who taught our class saw that by cutting her paper bigger and taping the edges.
Okay.
Now, I did enough of them that I kind of got to the point to where I was pretty good at not catching it. And if I did catch it, if you tug on it a little bit, most of the time you can kind of pull the threads back into place on the ribbon.
Okay.
But that's probably the biggest issue, is catching your thread on the edges. Just like on any, on canvas,
Right.
catch your thread on the canvas, it's gonna shred the thread a little
Right.
bit.
Yeah. So just standard taping on that, artist tape or whatever, eliminates that. Yeah.
So perforated paper is the weight of a lightweight cardboard.
Yeah.
It's not floppy paper.
Right. So it holds up. Yeah, because
It holds up.
That's been one of the things in my head is, how using canvas will start to get a little more flexible the more you work with it.
Mm-hmm.
And so and then I think, well, paper, oh boy, how is that going to hold up? So it holds up and retains its stiffness quite well then. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, and actually, if you want to try something small, Mill Hill has a boatload of little kits on perforated paper.
Mm-hmm.
Everything. Christmas, all the holidays, different. Some of them are small enough to be refrigerator magnets. Some of them are ornament size. Some of them are bigger. I have one that is 5 by 5, I think. That, of course, it's Mill Hill, so there's a lot of beads on them.
Yeah.
But, cross stitch and then beads.
Right.
And they're fun little things to stitch on if you just, want to have a little bit of time to stitch and you don't want to haul out all the other stuff, get the Mill Hill out and at least do the cross stitch. That's easy to do. And
right. Okay, so
it is
no
fun
need
to do.
no need to fear paper. Basically, you can just get it, stitch it, and enjoy it. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the new 18 count stuff is really appealing to me.
I haven't seen it yet. It is appealing to me too.
Yeah.
I don't know if I wonder if Kathy Ray has it.
Probably.
Probably. I mean,
Yeah.
what doesn't she have?
Right.
I haven't looked on her website to see if she has it.
Well,
But yeah, I'd like to try something on it.
Yeah, I saw it when I was at Vicki Jennett's house back when I was in Arizona. She had a bunch of 18 count, and I mean it just looked like really didn't look any different than canvas. I should have paid her for a couple sheets, but yeah, I'm sure Kathy Ray has it. Yeah, you're exactly right. What doesn't she have? But it's just it appeals to me. I think it's worth a try. I gotta just get some and try it. And
Now I don't know how these ornaments would work on 18 count. The ribbon thread is 1/8 inch wide, I think, and that's the smallest.
oh, yeah.
So I don't know that would work on, but you could probably just use a couple strands of floss and achieve something similar.
Yeah.
The ribbon thread just covers more.
Right. Okay. All right. That's what I was wondering. So basically, I can just stitch with it, like I said.
Yeah.
I don't have to baby it or do anything.
So I said that wrong. It's not the 1/8 inch; it's the 16th inch.
Okay.
Because Krynic has 2 widths, and it's the narrower width
that you used. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so in that 14 count, that is an excellent fit then.
Right. Okay. Covers nicely. You have to fiddle with it, because
sure,
if it's twisted on the back, it's going to be twisted on the front. But because the pieces of paper that you're working with are small, it's real easy to flip it over and coax the backside flat.
Yeah. Okay, because those sheets are what, 8x10 or 8x11 or something. So
yes, maybe a little bit bigger than 8x11. Wait a minute. 9x12.
9x12.
And there's 2 sheets in each package, and they are Mill Hill.
Oh, okay.
At least the ones I've got are Mill Hill.
Mm-hmm. So you're probably getting 3 or 4 ornaments off of a sheet?
Easily.
Yeah.
And the size that I gave you, probably 5 or 6.
Oh boy! Wow.
Because those are small.
Yeah.
They're really small.
Yeah.
The bigger ones take a lot more.
Right.
And I did find out, because I was doing a bigger one on excuse me, on a piece of paper that was not quite as big, or else I started over too far. I didn't have room for the 3rd panel, so I just stitched it on another piece of paper and then just stitched them together like they would have been. And if you don't want to make the 3-sided ornament, you can always do one side and stick a little bit of felt on the back of it and turn it into an ornament, or stitch it twice and stick them together.
Yeah.
So you've got 2-sided. There's and I don't know that anybody would be able to. I've looked for these Jean Taggart patterns, and they are not on. I haven't been able to find them on the internet.
Yeah.
There's a couple of her books available out there still, but her patterns are not there.
Yeah.
Unless they show up on eBay or something like that. But I haven't even found them on eBay. So I don't. I mean, the closest thing is probably Curdy Biggs has done some 3-dimensional ornaments in canvas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you could easily.
And I can't think of anybody else that's done 3-sided ornaments. But they're not hard to do. It just takes a little bit of fiddling.
Yeah. Well, in terms of designs, take any counted canvas design, take a Debbie Rowley thing, pull out an element from that, and you're good to go. Yeah.
Just needs to be square.
Yeah.
Counting is always a problem. So I draw the squares right on the paper with a pencil, and I mark the centers, so I don't have to count over to the center. And then I just go to town. They stitch up, the little ones stitch up really quickly.
Yeah. So these are real easy to do. Just put your feet up in a recliner in front of the TV and just sit there, because you don't need all the apparatus, the frames, and all the other things to go with it. Just
right.
If you're a mom sitting in a car waiting for a kid, there you go. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, got to give it a try.
Yep.
All right, I talked too long about backups, but they're important, so we have to end here.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
All right, other topics in the list for the next time.
Yep.
There we go. All right, everybody, join us tonight at the Stitch Hour, 8 o'clock Eastern Time, on the YouTube channel, for the Fiber Talk YouTube channel. Stitch and Chat next week is going to be Kathy Ray. The aforementioned Kathy Ray will join us to talk about metallic threads more. And that's it. Thanks for listening.
Bye.